Hello, everybody. What's up? So here we are continuing now our explanation of simple present. And today, lesson 5, we are studying the third person singular. Third person singular, guys, involves he, she, and it. Only is a special situation for he, she, and it. Third person of singular. Remember, he for man, she for woman, and it for animals or objects. Okay? The simple present in third person singular has two particularities. The situation is equal, routines, habits, and frequent actions. Okay? We have the presence of an auxiliary verb in negative and in interrogative, but we have a rule of verb variation in affirmative. Only third person singular. Only for he, she, and it, and only in affirmative. Okay? So let me show you what I have prepared for you. All right, guys, so let's go. The lesson 5, okay, the grammatical part is the explanation of simple present, third person singular. So we are talking about he, she, and it only, okay? Attention to the two things about simple present, the situations to use, routine habits and frequent actions, and the structure, okay? Here is a situation. In affirmative, we have equal structure, subject, verb, and complement, but the verb in affirmative for he, she, and it, this verb here, suffers a verb variation. Remember only for he, she, and it, and remember only in affirmative. In negative and interrogative, we use the auxiliary and verb returns to normal form. Okay? This is very important for you to remember, okay? Because it's strategical to use. So let's go. Here is the structure, the same material of last class, just to show you the difference that in he, she, and it, I have a verb variation, okay, only in affirmative. And what is this verb variation? I additionate S, ES, or IES to the verb depending on the situation, only in affirmative. Here, third person needs in the final S in affirmative sentence, S or ES or IES, as I told you. Only in affirmative, because in negative, that we have the use of the auxiliary verb, and of course, not, okay? Like here, for he, she, and it. Doesn't my verb return to the action mode, the infinitive mode, no variation, because I have the auxiliary verb. So he likes in negative, he doesn't like. And the interrogative, does he like? So no S. She studies. In negative, she doesn't study. Interrogative, does she study? Okay, so the verb variation only in affirmative. Okay? And in the interrogative here, so does she like? Does he need? Does he read? So you use the auxiliary verb in the beginning, the same order, okay? Auxiliary, subject, and the verb. This verb comes in infinitive form. Okay, so no verb variation in negative and in interrogative. Only verb variation in affirmative. Okay, so continuing here, this is the basic structure of the simple present. Okay, a present simple tense or simple present, you decide the way you call, is a verb form of a sentence that tells about the action. Okay, the action, the circumstance which happens regularly or occurs. What's that? Routines, habits, and frequent actions. Okay, follow the same logic. In affirmative, our structure is subject plus the verb as, es, or ies, okay, plus the object or the complement. So, for example, Romy loves to eat hamburger. Okay, the verb is the verb to love. This is the original form, but Romy is a man. My sentence is affirmative, so that is the reason we additionate in this case, in this particular verb, we additionate s. Okay? In negative, we use the auxiliary verb plus not. Okay? And my verb returns to infinitive form. So we use the auxiliary verb plus not, equal order, okay? Subject, auxiliary verb. In this case, for he, she, it is thus. Not because it's negative. Your verb in original form, in infinitive form, no variation form, because I have the use of the auxiliary. And you continue with the object or the complement, okay? So my sentence in affirmative, Romy loves to eat hamburger, okay? In negative, Romy doesn't love. So I use the auxiliary verb here. My verb returns to infinitive. Equal situation for interrogative. Interrogative, I am going to use the auxiliary verb starting your sentence following the structure. Okay, guys, remember the structure. Okay, so we start with the auxiliary, repeat the subject, and my verb returns to infinitive because of the presence of the auxiliary verb. Okay, and after you continue your sentence with your complement or object. Okay, so this is the basic structure. Attention, attention, attention. What you need to remember, verb variation only for he, she, and it, and only in affirmative sentence. Never verb variation in negative and in interrogative. Okay? This is something need to practice, to work, to exercise, to remember. Okay? Don't study, don't learn. It's important to frequently, constantly exercises about simple present. Okay, people? Continuing here. So here is the rules of verb variation. Okay? Basically, we have 3 rules. Okay? So starting from here, the number 3. This includes normal verbs. Okay? You only additionate s to the verb. So for example, work, works, read, reads, dance, dances, and there you go. And the verb here, it's mentioning the verb to play, because here we have the termination Y, the letter Y, but the preceding letter, the anterior letter, is vowel. So when we have vowel and Y, we only additionate S normally, okay? The other rule we have here is this rule number 1, that basically verbs that finish, okay, the final letter of the verb is the letter S, the letter H, the letter X, the letter Z, and the letter O. So let me put here the letter Z that is missing here. So letter Z also transforms in verb variation. Okay, and in this case, people, when we have this situation, verbs finishing in S, H, X, Z, or O, we additionate to the verb ES. Remember, only in affirmative, only in verbs finished in S, H, Z, X, or O. Okay? So, for example, the verb to dress. Okay? I dress, she dresses. I watch, he watches. I go, she goes, with ES in the final. Okay? And the verb I do finish in O. I do, he, she, or it does. Okay? So does is the variation of the verb to do to. Is the auxiliary verb, do or does, separate thing. But do is also including an action verb, the verb to do an exercise, to do your homework, okay? And in he, she, it does. So I do my homework, she does her homework, okay? Is the verb variation only in affirmative. So I do my homework, she does her homework. The negative, I don't do my homework, she doesn't do her homework. I use the auxiliary doesn't, and my verb return to infinitive because I have the auxiliary doesn't. Okay? And in the interrogative, equal, do I do my homework? So first do is the auxiliary, the second do is the verb. Do I do my homework? In the case of she, does she do her homework? The first does is the auxiliary. She is the subject, and do is the original verb with no variation because I have the presence of the auxiliary. Does she do her homework? And there you go. Your sentence is perfect. Okay? And the rule number 2, very important too, are the rule where the word, the verb finishes in consonant and Y. For example, study, the verb to study. You have the D and the Y. D is a consonant and Y is Y, consonant too, okay? Or the verb to cry. The termination is R, the letter R, and the letter Y. So consonant and Y. In this case, only in affirmative, only for he, she, it, my verb, I additionate I, E, S to the verb. Okay, so I cry, he, she, it cries. Okay, with I-E-S to the verb. For example, here. Okay, the baby cries. Okay, I additionate I-E-S to the verb. Because it's the baby's it, or he, or she. Okay? Peter carries a heavy bag. So the verb to carry is to hold in your hand. Oh, I'm carrying a big bag. Termination letters, consonant and Y. So you cut the Y and additionate I-E-S or equal the verb to dry. Okay, dry the dishes when you pass something in the dishes to make it no water to dry. Okay, I dry, you dry, he, she, it dries. Only in affirmative. If you use the auxiliary verb in negative and interrogative, the verb returns to infinitive. Okay, my people? I hope you are understanding. Okay, this is very simple, but it's necessary attention to study. Okay, continuing here, and now the principal verbs is I use the same verbs of the lesson 4 just to show you the variation, the modification in case of affirmative. Okay? So for example here, she reads. The verb is a normal verb, only additionate s. He studies. Okay, my verb ends in consonant and Y. So in this case, he, she, it, we cut the Y, remove the Y, and additionate I-E-S. So he, she, it studies. Okay? The verb to dance normal, only additionate S. The verb to teach, finish in age. Okay? So for he, she, it, we additionate es to the verb. So I teach, she teaches, he teaches, only in affirmative. The verb to work normal, no special rule, only additionate s. The verb to watch, okay, to watch TV. So how can I use here the verb to watch for he or she? In this case of he and she, my verb finishes in H, is affirmative, so he or she watches, because my verb finish in H, and I additionate ES to the verb, only in affirmative, only for he, she, and it. Okay? Continuing here, the verb to play. Okay? It plays. Look at the little dog here playing with the ball. Play and in Y, but the anterior letter is vowel. So no cut the Y like in consonant and Y. We only cut, remove the Y when we have consonant and Y. Here is vowel and Y. So we simply additionate S to the verb. So I play, you play, the dog plays, it plays, the boy plays, because it is affirmative, he, she, it. Okay? The verb to talk normally, only additionate S for he, she, it. The verb to cry, remember, cry, we have consonant R and supposedly Y. In this case is he, she, or it, so I remove the Y and I additionate I, E, S in affirmative for he, she, it. So I cry, you cry, he, she, it cries. Okay? Then the verb she cleans. The verb to go, attention, a verb finishing O equal the verb to do. Okay? My verb finishing O for he, she, it, I additionate ES. So I go, you go, he, she, it goes. Okay? Goes is the pronunciation. Additionation of ES. In affirmative, he, she, it. Okay? The verb to take a shower, normal verb, only additionate S. The verb to wake up, she wakes up, normal verb, no special rule. Gets up, equal, only additionate S. The verb to run, only additionate S. The verb to turn, only additionate S. To travel, S. To sleep, S. Okay, so we have a variety of verbs here, but remembering the rule and the structure, we have these three rules here that makes the difference in affirmative only for he, she, it. Or we put S, normal verbs, or we put ES. In what verbs, João, we put ES? Verbs finishing S, H, X, Z, or O. In third person, singular, affirmative, we additionate ES to the verb. And the other rule, when we have a verb and the final of the word, the final of the verb is consonant and Y. When we have consonant and Y, we remove the Y, we cut the Y and additionate I, E, S to my verb in affirmative only for he, she, it. Okay, my people. I hope you understand this lesson. It's a very simple lesson, but methodical. Need to study because simple present is something we use very, very, very much. Okay? Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for your attention. And let me know in the comments if you understand, if it's clear for you, and if you have any problem, ask me a question here. Okay, my guys. See you later. Bye-bye.